Hi guys, welcome to the video. In this video I'm going to be making some modifications to the exhaust system on the Ecotec. If you saw some of my previous videos, and I'll put a link to it up in the video here, I had made a real cheap, in fact I think I called it an $8 exhaust system. I had made a real cheap exhaust system off of the exhaust manifold when I first got this up and running. And then my intention was to eventually make a really nice header system for it, which I still plan on doing that. But now that I'm to the point where I'm up and running it and I'm driving it around and whatnot, I want some exhaust that's a little bit better. That can exhaust did work. It was a little bit loud at high, like when you were barreling down the highway, it was kind of loud, but it was all right. But I want exhaust that's got a little bit of a header in it because it might give me a little bit more power. And it's also going to be able to pull a little bit more heat away from the motor. And I do still want to make a real nice header system for this, but since my plan now is to make a new chassis for this, I'm not exactly sure where the new chassis is going to kind of come into play. So I don't want to make a real nice custom exhaust now and then find out that with the new chassis it doesn't fit. So in the meantime, I bought this header system, which is for an Ecotec. It's designed for actually installation on an Ecotec in a Chevy Cobalt, which is the car that I took this engine out of. And then I bought this muffler, which is I think like a 14-inch, basically a glass pack muffler. And then I've already welded up a little support here that the glass pack is going to sit on. What I'm going to do is have the glass pack sitting on here, and then I'll just have two clamps around it, and I'll just back it up enough so that it just doesn't stick back any farther than the rear cage. And then I bought this piece of 2-inch pipe. It's basically meant for just custom making your own exhaust system because it's got a real nice mandrel bent 180 and it's got a nice mandrel bent 90. And as luck would have it, I think this is going to have everything that I'm going to need to connect my header to the glass pack here. Now I did some snooping around on the internet to find these three components. These three things should work really well together because this pipe here fits real nice in the end of the collector for this manifold, and then it also fits right inside the glass pack. So as far as cutting this up and getting it to fit between the header and the glass pack, that should help make things a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting up this pre-bent pipe. I think I'm going to come out of the header, turn 90 degrees, and then point down towards the glass pack. So I'll come back this way, and then I'll have another 90 degrees pointing right into there. And that should be it. There should only probably be 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 welds. So I'm hoping it should be pretty easy and come up pretty nice. Give me a little bit more power. It won't be my long-term solution, but this should get me through the summer better than the manifold exhaust for bumping around on the trails. Alright, so you just watched a little snippet of me basically coming up here, taking some measurements, going down to the basement, doing some bandsaw cutting, back up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, probably 15 times. But anyways, now that I've got the pieces trimmed and I've got them tacked in place, let's look at what we got. Alright, so I took the 180 and like I said, I cut it right in the middle here so that I could rotate it. So I basically turned it into two 90s. So it 90s this way, then it rotates a little bit, then it 90s that way. It's got just a little short section, then it 90s again and slips into the back of the muffler. Now what I've got now is the muffler's clamped in place. This piece is just slipped into the muffler. It's really tight, but it's just slipped in there. These pieces are tacked. This piece is loose. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it over to the bench. I'm going to TIG weld these three. One. Is it only two? Oh yeah. I'm going to weld these two joints up solid so that any distortion is out of the way. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to assemble it just like it is now. Then I'm going to take my MIG welder and I'm going to put a couple of tacks on here just to hold it in place. A couple of good tacks. Then I'll take the muffler off, get that out of the way. Then I'll take the header off, and I'll take the header and the little tube here over to the bench, and I'll TIG weld that solid. And that way I'll know that everything is pretty much exactly where it needs to be. Alright guys, that's it for the exhaust. I think you saw everything I did there. These are stainless steel bands holding it onto the bracket. I painted it with what they call this, I don't know, flame-proof paint. It's meant for exhaust systems. I just wanted to paint it all the same flat black color so it looked universal. Pretty happy with the way it sounds, although I haven't driven it down the street yet. It does seem a little bit quieter. I mean, it should have a little bit more power. I can't imagine that this isn't a little bit more freer flowing than just the manifold going onto that can, but I guess I'll see how it feels the next time I take it out for a test drive, which hopefully will be this weekend, but I've got to put all this back together before I do that. Now with this exhaust, I'm going to be running the O2 sensor, but the wiring connecting to this is about 1.5 inches too short. So tomorrow morning I will, you can see the plug up here, I'll extend that with some wiring about 4 inches, maybe 6 inches, so that I can kind of run it off to the side and zip tie it, make it nice, and make sure that these wires aren't anywhere near the exhaust. And then it'll be interesting to see the next time I run it, having the O2 sensor, if that changes the way that the engine runs or anything. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's not really running bad without it, but I figure it can only be a good thing to have it, so looking forward to having that on there. But other than that, real happy with the way it came out. I'll be perfectly happy with this until I redo the chassis. When I redo the chassis, I'll probably try to make something similar, but probably a little bit nicer, maybe a little bit tucked in, maybe a little bit more tucked up in there, although this really doesn't take up as much space as I thought. It's kind of nice access, but I'll see how it goes, and I'll see what the new chassis gives me to work with. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope it possibly motivated you, like I usually say, to go out, work on something. Hopefully I see you on the next video. Take care.